they take the rat off the course. Finn loves having his rat taken away from him. Like, he thinks it's the greatest thing. So when I restrain him so that the person can come take the rat off the course, he just, I mean, he goes crazy, like barking. Like, everybody thinks it's so hilarious, but he really just likes having the rat take, like, it just pisses him off, and he's just like, come on, let's find more.
Ha! I got you. I found you. Get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? It's Kyra Mulaney here with the Man Cave Hobby Show, the show where we bring you all kinds of sports, all kinds of hobbies brought in here, talk about them, tell me the memories, the exciting moments, the sad moments, the learning experiences. I have a good friend of mine who's actually a family member of mine, my wife's sister, and the big thing on the show is it's not even about her, but it's about her dog. Her amazing dog has been all over the country, I think 13 different states. Finn. They were invited to the AKC NADD Dock Diving National Championship 3 years in a row, the 5th Doberman in the U.S. for dock diving, air retrieve in 2018 and 2019. He's earned 21 titles in 5 different sports, was just crowned Barn Hunt Champion in Las Vegas. My good friend Savannah McCorkle and her dog Finn. How's it going today?
Great. How are you guys doing? We're so happy to be here.
I'm super excited. I think this is going to be a really interesting show. When I was trying to come up with people to have on my show, Leanne brought up basically your name and Finn and talked about what he's done. And I knew a little bit about it, especially I know when we go to vacations together and you got a book to create dog treats. And I was like, I didn't say weird, but she must love her dog. I don't know. I know we don't have any cookbooks for dog treats. So I was like, all right. I said, I can dig that. But when she told me about the stuff you guys done and how important it is to you and the accomplishments he's done, that I was blown away, and I was like, this is exciting. I even talked to a couple friends that I was talking about people to interview, and I brought up you, and I brought up the stuff that Finn's done, and they were even excited. So I got to start off with the beginning, and just like I always do. And how did you get started? Is it something that you found Finn just as a normal dog? We're not even looking for him. Like, where'd Finn come from?
Yeah, so that's kind of exactly it. So I've had him since he was a baby, 8 weeks old. He's 4 years old now. So I basically got him, I would have been, I want to say 19 at the time, so pretty young. I did not know what dog sports were at all when I got him. I had heard maybe of agility, I knew of, sort of, kind of, but any other dog sports, no idea. So I end up with Finn, and he was a completely normal dog for, I would say, the first year of his life. And then my good friend, I was living out in Louisiana, she actually invited me to a dock diving practice. And at first I was very confused, actually. I thought she meant like I was supposed to go watch the dock diving. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I'll go, whatever. And she's like, no, bring Finn. And I'm like, oh, no, like, this is not going to happen. She's like, just bring him. So I'm like, okay. So we bring Finn, we drive out to the middle of nowhere, Louisiana, for this practice. It's literally like in a pond. It's not even in a pool. Like, they built a dock over a pond. So we get Finn up there. It's like the nicest people ever. And what do you know? Finn's like off the dock, like the big dock on the very first lesson. He's just going for it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I did not expect that at all, for one. So I thought that was really cool. And then shortly after, we moved out here to California. Dog sports are a lot bigger out here in California. So I actually was able to find places pretty close to my house that I could, practice and train at. And then shortly after that, I want to say a few months later, entered him in his first competition. And then from there, that's what we've been doing.
Wow. So when you were talking about when you found Finn, you were at a dog store or a dog like a rescue center is where you found him, or?
So he's actually just off of Craigslist,
Okay.
which I've worked in vet med, since I was 18 basically, and legally could do that. So I knew I wanted a Doberman just based on dogs I had worked with at work. I was dead set on a Doberman. Picked him up off of Craigslist. I would not recommend that for, anybody out there that is wanting a puppy. That's usually not the best breeders out there. There's a lot better breeders out there. So I wouldn't recommend that, but that's how I got Finn. It's basically off of Craigslist, little 8 week old puppy at the time.
Gotcha. So how long has he been dock diving? You'd say from today?
So he's 4, he's about to be 5, and I mean, his first lesson, he literally had just turned 1 year old.
Okay.
So we've been, well, we've, competition seasons, we've done 4 seasons,
Gotcha.
2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So 4 years, I would say.
Wow. So is it something that you have to be a purebred for to be able to do dock diving?
No, absolutely not. So, there's different dock diving organizations. None of them require that you have a purebred dog.
Mm-hmm.
If you do want to jump with AKC, you do need an AKC registration number, which you can get for a mixed breed dog. It's very simple to get. So yeah, there's no limit, or they don't exclude dogs based on their breed or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay. So what's the when you said it was his first time out, he did great. At that point, did you say, okay, definitely gonna do it? Is there equipment you buy? Just I'm going all out. This is something I'm planning on doing, or is it just you just kept practicing and going from there? He got better, and then kind of got in the
I
process.
mean, from my first practice, I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I'd be interested in, going to another practice, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I got out to California and I started practicing out here. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, okay, let me start looking at competitions. And I'm like, okay, these are, close by. I think I could do this. And that's when I started competing with him. And then from there, I found like all these other dog sports, and at that point it was like, okay, like we're doing this, like this is what we're gonna do.
Is it normal for well? Let me ask this: for Doberman, is there classes like he is in a Doberman class? Is he in a mid sized dog class or what's?
So in dock diving, they do have they don't compete the little dogs against the big dogs. That just wouldn't be fair.
Mm-hmm.
So they do have the big dogs in a class. It's called open class, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have lap dogs. So lap dogs, and I honestly I don't know what the cutoff is. I want to say it's that any dog under 13 inches tall.
Okay.
They compete in the lap class. They're not against the big dogs because that's just absolutely not fair to have tiny little 15-pound dogs jumping against
Mm-hmm.
80-pound dogs. As far as the breeds go, I mean, they rank them by the breeds, but you're not really like competing against, other breeds. It's mainly broken up by division. So, and the divisions are by how far they jump. So you got like junior division, which is 0 to 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's novice. Then you have junior, which is 10 to 15. 15 to 20 is senior. So that's what division Finn jumps in. He jumps 15 to 20 feet on average. Then you got master, which is 20 to 25, and anything over 25 feet is elite.
Gotcha. It was funny because I was talking to my dad about it, and I was trying to get him on here because he comes up with all kinds of questions, and he recommended me watching a dog named Spitfire.
I know who
I was
Spitfire
gonna say,
is.
he goes, ask her about that, ask her about Spitfire, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of I race cars, so there's a lot of full time racers that I don't even know all the names of. But he goes, I'm telling you, ask her about Spitfire, and I was watching a bunch of his videos, and that's crazy on the stuff that he can do. Is that something?
Spitfire,
Go.
yeah, he's crazy. And the crazy thing is, his owner is like, I want to say she's 15 or 16. She's a
Mm-hmm.
junior handler, is what we call it in dock diving. So she's this like super young girl going out to every single national championship under every organization and just winning everything. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to be her, like, I mean,
Oh
what
yeah.
a cool way to,
I was
live up
watching
your
all those videos on what she preps for, and that she's going to school, regular school, and has her
Mhm.
dog and going through the whole training, and then like you said, compete against all these older adults. Even the one I was watching is she was going to he's the number one and was going against the number two, and the number two, the lady was like 40, 50 years old lady, and going against, like you said, a 14, 15-year old. Is that
Mhm.
something that do you think Finn has the potential in the future to become, or is that another league or specialty or?
No, like there's no way. I mean, so dock diving previously was pretty much, it was the labs and the Belgian Malinois that were at the top,
Mm-hmm.
setting all the records, all that stuff. It's kind of crazy because in the last few years here, people started jumping whippets, which
Mm-hmm.
like a whippet is not something you would think like, oh, this is a great dog for swimming. But people started jumping these whippets, and they go so dang fast running down the dock, they
Mm-hmm.
can get crazy speed, and they're jumping insane numbers. So first it was like 30, then it's 32. Then we had, and Spitfire was number one for a really long time. Then we had this new one come in. His name is Slingshot. Slingshot starts jumping 35 feet.
Oh
And
my
it's like,
goodness.
no other breed is going to out jump that. Like, that's just, even a Belgian Malinois, those things are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No Belgian Malinois is going to be out jumping that. They just can't get the speed running down the dock to, get that kind of jump.
Wow.
So for a Doberman, I mean, there's some big jumping Dobermans out there. My friend that lives up in Northern California, she's got some of the really big jumping Dobermans.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say like 25 feet is what you're capping a Doberman at. They're not hitting 30. They're not hitting
Is it
35.
because of
It's
their
not happening.
weight? Because they weigh a little
Yeah,
bit more?
it's that. It's a lot of things.
Gotcha.
So like technique. I mean, like there's a lot of things, but a Doberman cannot hit 35 feet.
Okay.
It's just not
So
going to happen.
being that obviously he's won a lot of awards and a lot of competition is being able to compete, then he has a class that he can compete against. It's not like that he's going to face against the slingshot and the Spitfire and stuff like that. He has his own class to compete.
Yes, that's the great thing about dock diving is it's broken up into those divisions I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You're only competing against your division. So, I mean, novice division is 0 to 10 feet. If you have a dog that is jumping, high 9 feet,
Mm-hmm.
high nines, that dog can win first place because he's at the top of his division.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, he's only jumping 9 feet, but I mean, he can still win. And I think that's the cool part of dock diving is they reward at every single level. It's not like we're only, rewarding the dogs that are truly jumping the
Yeah.
furthest. Each dog has a division where they can, compete against dogs that are jumping similar to them, where it's fair.
Gotcha. So, what is a routine to get him ready from week to week and racing? Like I said, that's the only thing I can jump back to is I'm getting my car ready, I'm getting my setup done, I'm getting my tires done, all that kind of stuff. What's it like for a dog trainer?
Yeah. So for one, he's kept in really good shape. So we have a pool in the backyard. So he's pretty much swimming during the summer. He's swimming every single day, and I'll go out there and jump him on my lunch break. I mean, we're just jumping all the time. So I think that in itself keeps him pretty fit. I do run with him, from time to time. Um, he gets chiropractic adjustments and everything. I mean,
Okay.
he like you kind of have to when
Yeah.
we're pushing him so hard. So he gets chiro done. But yeah, I just keep him in shape and everything. I mean, that's the main thing to prevent injury and everything.
What's the food like? Because I know I can just give my dog regular dog food. I mean, I
Yeah,
go for the cheapest stuff, but it's I'm sure a different schedule for a performance dog.
yeah. I mean, it's different for every dog. I personally feed Eukanuba, which it is formulated for, active and sporting hunting dogs, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feed him the Eukanuba. He does really well on that food. So that's what we do personally.
Did you do any? I saw the Spitfire was doing acupuncture. Have you ever done that?
I have never done acupuncture, but I know some Dobermans that definitely get acupuncture. So it's very common. I mean, it sounds crazy, dogs getting, adjustments and stuff like that. It's very common with sport dogs. I mean, it's not crazy to us.
Well, and that's like when I was looking at, I mean, just another animal like a horse or anything like that, looking at their body build, their muscle build on these competition horses, even competition bulls, because I watched a little bit of PBR, and I'm used to seeing that, and I haven't really, yeah, you see it in dogs, but not that often. But I watch again, I go back to the Spitfire because that's just all the research I've done, all the videos I've watched were mainly of him, and the shape is just crazy. You can see every muscle, every movement he gets,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can definitely understand the different activity. It's just like a regular athlete that they do have to get adjusted over time.
Yep.
What kind of adjustments or setup or go back to setup and training do you do when you're at the competition? You do anything while he's there?
I do stretch them out beforehand. So I've just stuff I've picked up from friends. You can like find YouTube videos on this and stuff. For dock diving, I do like to stretch them out. You do see a lot of, not a lot of injuries, but I mean, injuries can happen with dock diving because they're extending when they jump.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually when you see the injuries. So I do stretch them out before that. For certain sports, you might want to like walk them around for 5 minutes. But other than that, It's nothing too crazy. I mean, it takes me about 5 minutes to get him stretched out and everything.
Do you have to? Well, we obviously you travel to 13 different states. All of it's driving, I'm assuming.
It's a lot of driving.
A,
Yes.
I was gonna say a
I've
lot.
never flown him.
So in something like that, do you drive? Do you have a certain time frame? Hey, we drive 4 hours, stop, come out, pull over, or what's your procedure when it comes to stuff like that?
Yeah, usually I try to stop every 2 hours just to get him out of the car. He does travel in a crate in the car,
Mhm.
so I know you don't want to sit there in the
Yeah,
same position for that many hours. So I try every 2 hours to get him out.
gotcha. And same idea, just normal walk around, give him some water, and then back in.
Just normal walk around. I try not to actually. I mean, you don't want to do anything too crazy a few days before a competition. I try to do absolutely nothing with him really the
Hmm.
first like 2 days before a competition. So yeah, I don't want to do anything too wild.
Gotcha. What do you do on a and jumping back to you? What do you do on a week to week? So you work with pets normally? Is that right?
Yes, so I work in an animal hospital. I have for the last, I want to say 6 years. I've worked in an animal hospital, which is very nice because I get my employee discount. It's a good line of work to be in when you have a
I was
pet.
gonna
So
say yeah.
yeah, so I get the employee discount. I actually work for a vet that has a chiropractor on staff,
Oh,
which
okay.
is, I don't think that's very common for most animal hospitals, but
Hmm.
I'm lucky to have that. So I do that, and I also go to school full time as well.
I gotcha. Okay. Wait, what are you going to school for?
I'm going to school for accounting.
Okay. All right. Uh, what is your process, I guess, right now to make him a number one in his class for the dock diving? Or what's your
So
plans?
uh, practice. You got to keep practicing. So I go down. Well, I want to say last summer I was down at practice pretty much every single Monday on my day off.
Hmm.
And I mean, the closest dock to me is there's one that's 1.5 hours away, another one that's 2 hours away.
Hmm.
And I was going to the one that was 2 hours away. So I was going to practice pretty much every single week. And it's not so much that, I mean, he goes off the dock. I mean, he's been a natural at that since day one,
Hmm.
but just technique. I mean, there's things you can do technique wise, how you're throwing your toy, all that sorts of stuff to
Hmm.
get further jumps out of him. So you got to keep going to practice. I mean, we're always improving on that, always.
Is it something you
So
have to extend? Well, you said you're having to throw the toy. Is it something that if he's hitting, we'll say 25 feet, you try to throw it out a little farther to push him farther? Or is it just you're trying to help him just launch off the dock? Like, are you just trying to create an extended goal? Hey, I need you to hit here. Or are you working on right when he's taking off?
So basically, so when it comes to dog diving, there's two different methods of how you can get your dog to jump off the dock. So first one is called the catch method. So basically, catch method, you set your dog up at the end of the dock. You walk to the end. You can have a holder, so somebody can hold your dog. Finn has an awesome sit stay, so he'll just sit, where I tell him to sit. You go down to the end of the dock, call your dog, and you throw the toy basically when they approach, the
Mm-hmm.
end of the dock. Second method would be called place and send. So place and send, you hold on to your dog, you throw your toy out so it's already in the water, then you back your dog up on the dock and let him go. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not throwing the toy while your dog is jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Place and send, a lot easier. I mean, there's no timing really involved. You get your toy out there, back your dog up, and go. Catch method, as you can imagine, you got your dog running down the dock, you're standing there with your toy. You got to think about, how am I throwing this toy? If I throw it 20 feet up in the air, my dog is not jumping 20 feet up in the air. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If I throw it straight down, he's going to go straight down after it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about getting that throw perfect to where your dog can track the toy. And then also timing too. If you throw it too late, now your dog could fly off the dock and you still have the toy. Throw it too early, and the whole thing just gets messed up. So when it comes to that, it's a lot of handler error, and
Gotcha.
getting my throw down has been the hardest part, getting that consistent throw. And
Is it
then
any
with
different? So the videos I was watching is they have a contraption that holds the toy at the end of the. Does he do any of that, or is that a different?
Yeah, so that's called air retrieve.
Mm-hmm.
So dock diving has three different, they're called disciplines. So you got just distance jumping, which is either, throwing the toy or leaving the toy out there, the place and send method I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Second would be air retrieve, which that's where the bumper is suspended. And so your dog's going to grab it. They're going to move it 1 foot. Your dog grabs it, move it a foot. 2 misses and you're out of the competition. So that's air retrieve. Then there's also something called speed retrieve or hydro dash, basically where the bumper's all the way at the end of the pool. Your dog jumps, has to go swim to the end and get it. So that's more like a speed-based game, not so much like
I saw that, and that was going to be my next question later on. Is you were talking about that one dog's slingshot going all the way to 35 feet. So when I was watching the Spitfire, when they were run, he was winning a lot of competitions, but I felt like that because he can jump so far, that his swim was just a little bit. So with
yeah.
that other dog diving another 3 4 feet, that's almost past it or at it. Does that mean they're going to have to move that device and make it harder for the rest of the dogs because of it?
I mean, that's an interesting point because so the pool is 40 feet. Any
Mm-hmm.
competition pool is 40 feet. Well, that's kind of concerning when you have a dog that's jumping 35 feet and that's at the base of the tail. So his head is actually probably more at like 37, 38 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of talk recently. Do we need to make the, competition pool 50 feet? Like, do we need to change the complete standard on that? Because at this point, it's almost dangerous for this dog to be jumping that far.
Yeah.
So with hydro dash, speed retrieve, whatever you want to call it, I mean, yeah, if they have to make the pool bigger, it makes sense that they would have to probably move that back. But for right now, it's not like that. So he just gets a really good advantage because, I mean, he gets a really far jump and his speed retrieve times, I think they're about 4 seconds, 4
Mm-hmm.
to 5 seconds. I mean, he's fast. They're winning all of that too.
Yeah. So, and you were talking about all the different competitions he does. Tell me, the one I wanted to really ask about, which I want to go through all of them really thoroughly because I think they're all very intriguing, especially the he catches mice. Is that right?
So he does a sport called barn hunt, which not so much catching mice, but I mean, that's the theory of it. So basically, with barn hunt, you got rats in a tube.
Mm-hmm.
The rats are completely safe. They are live rats. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're these people's pets. The people that do these sports,
Mm-hmm.
they have pet rats, and they're put in a tube, and it's a dark PVC tube. It's big though, and it's got holes in it. So one, the rat can breathe, and two, that's how your dog is going to find the scent of the rat.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the tubes are hidden all in a barn setting. So it's literally done in a barn on top of hay bales and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And your dog needs to find the rats. And when you think your dog has found a rat, you as the handler need to call out rat. And the judge is either going to tell you yes or no, I'm sorry, it's not a rat. And you do have empty tubes in there, so it's not like your dog could just learn to, oh, I see a tube, this is a rat.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's empty tubes that have nothing in them, and then there's also litter tubes which just have the rat litter in them. So your dog really needs to know, like, is this the scent of a rat or is this the litter? They really have to know what's going on. So that's barn hunt.
And it's how fast they can get it. Is that still?
So with barn hunt, similar to dock diving, you have different levels, divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So in the novice level of barn hunt, they just need to find one rat is all they have to do. Then you move on to open division, there's 2 rats. Then you move on to senior, there's 4. Then you get to this crazy thing called masters, which that's what Finn is in. Masters, there's between 1 and 5 rats. And when you think your dog has cleared the ring and found every rat on the course, which could be it could be 1 rat, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, you need to call clear. And the judge is either going to tell you yes or no, I'm sorry, there's, 1 more rat out there. So that's masters. So it's kind of the difficulty moves up through the levels.
So he's really good at guessing where the mice are, how much they are.
Yeah, so we started July 4th of last summer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so he
before I had to cut you off because I want to find out, how did you go from, because originally it was dock diving. How did you go from getting all these different, like, obviously he's very good at that. How'd you jump from dock diving to all these other activities?
So the great thing about it is, so where I dock dive, it's a dog sport facility.
Mm-hmm.
So like the 2 places I go to, Agape Ranch Dog Sports, High Desert Dog Sports. So they have dock diving, but they most places have, I mean, 5, 6 other sports that they offer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of got involved with that. Is okay, I've been dock diving here. Oh, they're advertising, a nose work class, a barn hunt class, whatever. So I actually at High Desert Dog Sports is where I started barn hunt, and she offers like these fun days, and it's really cool. You pay like $20 for the whole day,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to try every single sport. So it's great for dogs that have never done it before. I thought it was awesome because I'm like, okay, I can go obviously dock dive him, and then also we'll get to try barn hunt. So
Yeah.
if the barn hunt is a flop, it's fine. We're going for dock diving anyways. So that's how I actually got involved with barn hunt. I didn't actually like seek it out, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to try barn hunt. It was like, oh, I'm going to this fun day that just happens to be having barn hunt. Let's see how this goes.
And it turned out to be, so you said last Sunday he got started on it, and then what?
So last summer, I took him for the little fun day.
Mm-hmm.
He ran a full novice course actually during that practice. I didn't know anything about barn hunt, and his trainer's like, he just ran a full novice course. I'm like, what? So that means I'm ready to trial already? She's like, yeah, sign up for a trial. So that's what I did. I signed up for a trial, and we blew through all the levels. I mean, I want to say, so we were in Masters by December. So I mean, like less than 6 months, and we had blown all the way through the lower levels and got up to Masters. So then you get to Masters and things get really difficult, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to go to practice and everything. So that's how I kind of got started with that. Is I just stumbled upon it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I'm in Masters. I don't know how that happened, but here I am.
So how does he, going back to the competition part of it? So you said there can be 1 to 5. Let's say you had ended up with 5. Does the next person end up with a different number, or can it's still random because they can end up with 1?
So it is random, and different judges have different. I've seen different ways that they've done it. You've got some judges that, so in barn hunt, you're loaded up in what's called a blind, similar to like hunting, where it's like a completely secluded area. You can't see, you can't hear what's going on in the ring. So you have 5 dogs in a blind. So you're loaded up in this blind, and the reason is you can't see them, putting the rats on the course and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So within your blind, yeah, it's completely random. I've seen judges roll a dice to tell them how many rats they're going to put for that particular dog that they're setting the course for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure some have, like, oh, I'm going to do 5, then 3, then 1, then, I'm sure some pre-plan it out. So yeah, there's different ways that they do it, but yeah, it's completely random. You have no idea what you're going to get.
So the chance of, let's say you end up with 5 and the next person ends up with 1, I know it's still random, and like you said that they have to find it and then you have to say clear, like that they can't find anything. Do you feel it's a disadvantage because they ended up with 1 and you ended up with 5, or it ends up
Um,
being the same?
So I've talked about it with my friends. So it is a timed event. So in Masters, you have 4.5 minutes. And that's the hard part about it is, okay, my dog has to find all these rats. And then I also have to determine like that he's clear, which he has to give me certain signs that he's clear, which Finn does a pretty good job of telling me when he's clear, although sometimes, we're not 100% perfect. um, but yeah, so it is timed, and you do get placements. So they do rank you first, second, third, fourth based on time.
Mm-hmm.
Which in the lower levels, obviously that's really fair. Everybody has the same amount of rats, same amount of time, same exact thing. When you get to Masters, yeah, I mean, a dog that has a 1 rat course versus 5 rats, it's going to take longer to work that 5 rat course. I mean, the thing about placements is it doesn't really matter. I mean, you get a ribbon, and that's about it. I haven't seen people get too upset about that. But yeah, I have thought about that with my friends. Like, it's not, if you get a 1 rat course, you're definitely at an advantage time wise.
Gotcha. And you said it's something that he grab the rat, bring it back to you, or just hey, it's there, I'm letting you know.
So every dog has a different alert. Finn's particular alert is when he's found a rat, he'll usually scratch it and he'll start biting at the tube. And then, I'll call rat. For Finn, we don't know why this is, but I mean, so they take the rat off the course. Finn loves having his rat taken away from him. Like, he thinks it's the greatest thing. So when I restrain him so that the person can come take the rat off the course, he just, I mean, he goes crazy, like barking. Like, everybody thinks it's so hilarious, but he really just likes having the rat take, like, it just pisses him off, and he's just like, come on, let's find
Ha!
more.
I got you. I
So,
found you. Get rid of it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's Finn's alert. You see all sorts of different alerts. I mean, you get some dogs that their alert when they found it, they'll do a sit and they'll look at their owner,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously very completely different from what Finn does.
Mm-hmm.
Some dogs actually, I have seen it before. They will grab the tube, and I mean the tube is big. I mean Finn has picked it up once, but like it's hard for him to pick up. I've seen dogs pick up the tube and they take it straight to their owner. Like, here it is. This one's the rat, which that's obviously really nice. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's a
So, with that being said, is it something that if you like a way that they're doing it, that you try to train Finn that way? Or, hey, this is working, Finn's happy with it, don't worry about it?
I've always been happy with his alert, and you get people that, they want a certain alert from their dog. I say, if you understand your dog's alert and they're good, it's a good alert.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to mess with it. But you get some people that their dog does like a little single paw, and they're like, I want more and stuff. So you can definitely train more. If you want more out of your dog, you can train it that way. You got some dogs that don't even like Finn naturally just hunts the rats. Like there was never any training involved in that aspect of it. You have some dogs, they have no interest in the rats, and they literally just train the dog to find the rat. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's a completely different thing too. Um, because I mean they train them with rewards, with treats
Yeah.
basically. So it's a complete. There's many different ways to do it basically.
Where did you learn to do all your training from the dock diving to the barn hunt to all these other different activities? Where did you learn your training from? Do you have somebody you met that mentors you and has done the training with you? Or is it something that Google, YouTube, and
Yeah, no, he completely has been trained by other people. So his dog diving trainer is down at Agape Ranch Dog Sports. She's got Belgian Malinois, had set many records back in her female Malinois, heyday. So she trains Finn in dog diving. I absolutely adore her because she wants Finn to act like a Belgian Malinois. He's a Doberman, but she says, no, you're going to be a Belgian Malinois when you're with me. So I've liked that because it's pushed me, in that sense
mm-hmm.
that like my dog's a Doberman. I don't know Belgian Malinois all that well,
Mm-hmm.
and she pushes him. No, you're gonna be crazy. Like if you want to come up here on the dock, you got to be crazy. So that's my trainer for dock diving. Then for barn hunt, I go up to April at High Desert Dog Sports. She's actually a Doberman breeder. She gets the Dobermans. She totally understands them. So she's pretty much trained Finn from the ground up, from novice up to champion. She's been there the entire time, basically.
Wow. So my one I really want to ask about, and I do want to go through all of them, is this fly ball. The fly ball looks awesome. So I was watching a video on the Spitfire and his dock die and everything like that, and this fly ball came up. I was like, oh yeah. I said Finn does that. I said let me look into that. That is awesome. So tell me about that. Is it a team, just one person, or the one I was watching was four? Is that standard? Is it normally just four dogs?
So it's four dogs on a team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what video you're watching, but when it's an actual competition, one team running against another,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have eight dogs actually out
Mm-hmm.
on the course map, whatever you want to call it.
Looks like a
Kind
drag track is what it looks like.
Yeah. So eight dogs out there. It gets very crazy and hectic. They actually say, my friends tell me this all the time, dock diving and fly ball are like the kegger parties out of all the dog sports, and like agility is like a fine wine.
Uh-huh.
So dock diving and fly ball, it's completely crazy. Like your dog can act completely nuts, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like everybody's dog is nuts, so it's fine. But fly ball is one of those things where when I try to explain it to people, I'm literally like, just go watch a video of it because I don't even know how to begin to explain it.
I was telling that exact scenario. I was telling my dad, I was like, Dad, hey, you got to see this fly ball. I said, it's crazy. It was a dog, the one I was mainly watching, which was the whole team, which was called the Aces, and the dog was called Hustle, I think. But anyways, I was trying to explain to him, like you said, and I was like, they're going back, they're going through the hurdles. I said, they're grabbing the ball, they're coming on back, and he understood. I was like, no, you got to see it, and he was like, holy cow. I was like, this is awesome. I said, between
There
the
is a lot of moving pieces with fly ball. So basically, the gist of it, you got four dogs on a team. They run down. You got the hurdles. The hurdles are set by the height of the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you want one dog. You want one small dog at least on your team because they're gonna set the jump height for the entire team.
Oh,
So you
okay.
have that one small dog. You're gonna have a tiny little hurdle. Versus if you have all big dogs, you're gonna have big hurdles. Big hurdles slow down everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So you run down your 4 hurdles. It's actually a spring-loaded box. I don't even know how to describe the box to somebody. It's a very specialized piece of equipment.
As soon as they
So
hit it, the ball comes out, right?
the ball launches, yes. So if you've ever hit a fly ball box with no dog, you just hit it. I mean, that ball launches like 10 feet off the box if there's not a dog there to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they hit the box. They have a swimmer's turn or a box turn, which is how they effectively grab the ball while also like turning around and jumping off the box at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Run down, and then the next dog. By the time the one dog has gone halfway back, they've already sent the other dog because there is a start line, and basically you need them crossing right at that start line. There's motion sensors and everything. You can fault, like if you send a dog too early and the other dog hasn't cleared the finish line and it's coming down the start line, they'll give you a fault and you have to and stuff. I mean, there is a lot of moving pieces to fly ball.
How do you train Finn to do something like that? Because like you said, it is a lot of moving pieces. The big one that's blowing my mind is the dog to know as soon as I hit it, open my mouth, grab the ball, head over the like. How did you train Finn to do something like that?
So fly ball is one of the only sports that I honestly can say you cannot attempt to train this on your own if you tried. Any other sport you can probably train on your own, if you're determined enough.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's good to have a trainer there for you. Fly ball, there's just no way you're going to train that on your own. It's a team sport. You
Mm-hmm.
need 4 dogs on your team. It's got very specialized equipment, and fly ball training takes a long time. So Finn's been training for 2.5 years. We have not ran yet in a competition. We're right there. We're almost ready.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like dock diving where you can show up and compete the same day,
Yeah.
the first day your dog does it. Fly ball, I mean, a really good dog, it could take 1 year minimum. I've seen a lot of dogs in 1 year of training, they're ready, but that's the bare minimum. A lot of dogs, it's a lot longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
With Finn, it's been a lot longer. Dobermans are not, a super common breed in fly ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly a border collie sport.
I saw
So
the
with
whippets
Finn,
again. There's a bunch of whippets in it. Back again.
Whippets are good too, but Whippets have the prey drive, and when you have 7 other dogs out there that are running, the
Mm-hmm.
Whippets struggle a lot. It's really hard to get a Whippet to really just, focus in, stick to their job, stay in their lane, do their thing. So with Finn, it's been an uphill battle. It's a lot of work. I'm so lucky to have a fly ball team, like literally 15 minutes up the street from me. We do fly ball with Surf City Fly Ball out of Huntington Beach. So luckily they hold practice twice a week. I'm super lucky to have that opportunity because a lot of people do not have fly ball near them. It's kind of a dying sport, I would say, where the other sports are gaining momentum and gaining people.
Mm-hmm.
Fly ball is kind of like losing that momentum, I would say.
Is it because,
So
like you said, it's not you can't? It's really hard to train dogs to do it. Is that why it's hard to find the right dog to fit the
yeah,
criteria?
it's hard to find the right people that want to make that kind of commitment to it. Most people, they want to go right away. I want to compete right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that with fly ball. You got to put in a lot of work to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the struggle. Second struggle is the equipment. It's not, just stuff you could, round up real quick. A fly ball box is easily over $1,000. So finding a fly ball box and all the equipment is difficult. To finding an entire team that is willing to travel and go to events and stuff, that in itself is hard. You can't do fly ball by yourself. It doesn't work. You
Yeah.
need 4 dogs and 4 people. And actually, you need more than that because there's all sorts of different jobs in fly ball where you need these extra people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the thing with fly ball. But luckily, I'm so happy. We're so close. I mean, I think he would have competed this year without the COVID thing. But fly ball is actually the only sport that has not opened back up. I don't think they have a timeline for opening back up, so that's completely on hold right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if that does open up next year, I think we will race our first fly ball race next year with him.
Is you think it's something that he? All right, let me ask the level situation. A lot of them you were talking about different levels. Is there a different level in flyball?
There is, so it's based on your time, and it's not your personal time; it's your team's time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they rank them at events is, by what time, what average time your team is competing at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's with flyball. Kind of different. I mean, there's not so much of an emphasis on it as the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with flyball, it's kind of whatever team. But I mean, your team, you're throwing different dogs in there at times. I mean, you're not running the same team every time, so it's not that much of a deal, I would say, in flyball.
Gotcha. So when it comes to you were talking about the team situation, are you part of a bunch of different teams for a bunch of different sports? Like all these sports have their own teams you hang out with, or like are the dock diving you're not really part of a team, you're just yourself? Like do you represent a company or represent a team, or is it just Savannah and Finn here?
Yeah, so it's just Savannah and Finn for everything. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I do have my friend groups and everything. So like we jokingly, I have my barn hunt friends. We have a lot of barn hunt Dobermans down here, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So our unofficial team name, I guess I would say, is Team Hold On to Your Rats,
Mm-hmm.
because all of our dogs are crazy and you need to hold on to your rats. So that's our like unofficial, like joking team name, but we're nothing official. But with flyball, yes, you need an official team to do that.
Gotcha. So, and what's it take, do you think, to be sponsors? Is something that you think could potentially come out to do something? Or, like in racing, unfortunately, it's a thing. It takes money to make money, or it takes a big name. You'd have to win, like you said, a national championship, stuff like that, to really have that emphasis? Or is it something that you think you can go to your local place and they can possibly do it?
So it's kind of funny. I actually did reach out, over the summer. I just out of curiosity reached out to a couple companies that I actually do use, like the food, treats, supplements that I use for Finn. I
Mm-hmm.
did reach out to some companies. I didn't hear back or anything, but also I didn't try very hard. I just sent like an email.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a huge social media following. He's got about 2,000 followers on his Instagram. So I'm not like a huge account or anything like that. I do go to a lot of big events. I go to a lot of national championships, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's not like a huge jumper. We're not. I do it for fun. I don't do it to win or anything like that. So I've put some testers out there. Haven't really heard anything, but sponsorships are super common in dog sports. Usually by food companies, supplement companies, toy companies, especially in dog diving. Toys are obviously a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a huge part of dog
So
sports.
to get a sponsor, like you said, I mean, it takes the effort, but there's still a threshold you do have to come across. Like that, I know in sponsorships that I dealt with, yes, they could sponsor anybody, but they rather put their money in this person just because this person. So I've been there, but for the most part, you said they sponsorships are pretty common.
It is pretty common, yeah. And I think, I don't know how these people are getting the sponsorships. I'm sure it has to do with, how good your dog is performing at events, your social media following. So I'm sure that who I'm sure is also a huge part of it. So there are a lot of people out there getting sponsorships. I just haven't, I didn't really, put that much effort into
Hmm.
it. I just kind of wanted to see, would anybody get back to me?
Yeah.
That wasn't the case with us, but that's okay. We just do it for fun.
That's kind of the biggest thing is, like I said, when I was in racing, me and my dad ended up to a point that we started butting heads because it was day in and day out, race, and yes, we always talked about we do it for fun and it being fun, but it became such a competition that we lived and breathed. We have to win. And I think if it's something that when you're focused on having a good time and having fun, you get to enjoy it a lot more. So that's not a bad thing to do. Is yeah, you don't have sponsorships right now. It might be something that comes in the future, and I think very soon. But if you're focused on having a good time, it's gonna make the whole experience a lot better. But now, what is on the sport lure coursing? Is that right?
Yes.
So what's that?
Yes. So that one, okay, so basically it's a lure, which is this is also another very specialized piece of equipment. It's like a pulley machine, I guess I would call it.
Hmm.
So they have a 100-foot track. So this is similar if you know like whippet racing,
Hmm.
greyhound
Yep.
racing. It's kind of a similar concept to that, but it's like an all breeds thing. Any breed can do it. So basically, you have a 100-foot track, and this lure is attached to this pulley system.
Hmm.
And the lure is actually all it is like a plastic grocery sack. That's all it is. But it's supposed to look like a bunny.
Hmm.
So basically, they run this lure, and it's like an automatic lure, and your dog just chases the bunny, which is just the plastic bag. So it's a timed event. So they base it, they time them. They have the motion sensor timers, and yeah, they rank them off of their. I mean, they'll compute their time into a miles per hour.
Hmm.
So it's kind of cool. So you can know like how fast your dog runs
How
in miles
fast
per
does
hour.
he run?
He runs about 25 miles per hour.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
incredible.
yeah, and I mean, you have some whippets. Of course, the whippets dominate everything,
Yeah.
so they're
So what
doing
about gray? I
well.
haven't heard much about greyhounds, and greyhounds has almost a similar build as a whippet. Yes, you have the Italian greyhounds, which are the miniatures, and then you have the full size greyhounds, which I
Yeah.
own. We own three Italian greyhounds. But are greyhounds involved in any of these activities?
To be completely honest, I've seen one whippet or I mean, one greyhound in dock diving. And I mean, I think I saw him for a practice. I don't know that I saw him compete,
Mm-hmm.
which is very unusual. I mean, you would think that, it would be, very common in the sport, but it's not. And actually, all the sports, I've never really seen that many greyhounds.
Mm-hmm.
um, which I think it's also a thing about greyhounds aren't super popular anymore. I mean, they're not like a huge breed.
Yeah.
So I think there's just not that many out there. And then, yeah, if there's not that many out there, there's not that many doing sports. But yeah, I was pretty, shocked by that too. You would think
Yeah,
that there
because
would be more.
and I was wondering also because the Whippet is, I wouldn't say the perfect dog because I don't know enough breeds, but it seemed like it was agile enough, but yet it wasn't as big as a Greyhound. So it was a combination of both, that it had less weight, but yet the leg power and everything like that. So I guess that's why the Whippets came along. So the last one is trailing and locating. Is that similar to the barn hunt?
This is similar to barn hunt. It's actually a newer sport. It's the only one we do that's not AKC recognized just quite yet. So I believe they actually started this just last year. So we kind of just took to it. We do barn hunt. We might as well do this. Basically, with this one.